Next is the agenda for public presentation time. It's an opportunity for the citizens to give input on the board's agenda, which are not the subject of the public hearing and is not intended as a question and answer period. This period has a 20-minute limit, and such time will be split equally among the number of individuals who have signed up. For individuals who wish to give input on relevant county issues which are not part of the board's agenda, there is a 60-minute period for general comments at the end of the meeting. Ms. Mouse, has anybody signed up?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, 2 individuals. Mr. Gary Kushner.
Okay.
My name is Gary Kushner. I'm at 1106 Fetchit Road. I just wanted to spend a couple minutes talking about the Parking Road West rezonings. Last week, on Tuesday, we had a really tumultuous budget session. I appreciate the attention you all paid to all the speakers. I hope you'll listen to what they have to say, or hear what they have to say, not just listen. The next night, we had a planning commission hearing, and even though we had a massive hearing the night before, 15 of us showed up and testified about that. And the planning director said that she got about a dozen emails. There were no positive comments towards the applications that were presented. It's just a loser proposal on all levels. The addition of traffic that would be there is just terrible. It's already a challenging traffic location. Over the last 10 years, the growth in the county has been around the county, not just in one spot, and the growth rate's been a little under 1% in those 10 years average. This is going to double the growth rate. And growth should be allowed to happen naturally, not concentrated in a single area. Because the single relevant factor in quality of life in a bedroom community like this is development, density of development. The developer, the proposal says that they're going to need another school there for the residents that would live just in that development. We've already got enough pressure on school funding. And this seems to all be justified for workforce housing, and specifically for the teachers. Well, my wife is a teacher in Warren County, and she's polled her peers, and her peers are not interested in housing as a problem. They're interested in compensation. I know you've heard much about that. Anyways, any housing needs that might exist are not well defined. I've never seen any study. It's all anecdotal, and that's not the way you make decisions. I'm sure you understand that. Last night, I understand the town council met and had a work session, and potential water use for that development was addressed, and there wasn't a lot of positive comments. In fact, I didn't see any. I saw online that there were 60 comments posted on that last night, and I didn't see a single one that said that the town should provide that water, and they're already taxed at providing the water needs for the existing people. There are enough problems in Warren County right now that need our attention. You know about the budget problems. We've got the EDA debacle. We got two big balls in the air right now. We don't want another ball in the air to be dealing with. So I hope that you will keep an open mind on this. I've seen the presentation that happened in February, and we had one which I was surprised at, planning commissioners that thought it was a good idea. I don't know what he's thinking. But I hope you keep an open mind about this and listen to the citizens and not grant the rezoning and the conditional use permit for this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Christy Atwood.
Hi, I'm Christy Atwood at 1255 Pilgrims Way, Bentonville, Virginia, 22610. In the day of political correctness and overly delicate people, both of which I am not, holding the position of county administrator set you apart, and with such, you are under tighter scrutiny. The email dated February 20th, 2014 and sent from Douglas P. Stanley's work email at warrencountyvirginia.net is unacceptable. I have heard that Stanley and members of the board toss this aside as banter between friends. Did anyone reach out to the recipient, Jennifer McDonald? I did. She received this in error and was not the intended recipient. She was taken aback by the vulgar language, and being that with my house, I have also witnessed his intimidation attempts in regards to my house. Mr. Stanley approached me.
We could take this up at the end. This is for items on the agenda.
No, this is for items not on the agenda. Ms. Downs told me where to sign up.
I tried to explain the difference. I said the agenda was for stuff on the agenda and the general was for general. There might have been some confusion.
Okay, well, then continue.
Thank you. I have witnessed his intimidation in regards to my house. Mr. Stanley approached me at 2 separate galas that we were both attendants at. The first time I was at my table without my husband, and he asked that we be friends that night and not enemies regarding my house. The next, with my husband by my side, I was told by Mr. Stanley that my husband and my stepmom worked for the county. My stepmother is actually the Commissioner of Revenue and is an elected official, Sherry T. Sowers. I was on the county's health insurance, I was part of the family, and he wanted to fix my house. Well, if I've been treated like family, I want no parts of it. That was an attempt of intimidation and silencing me of my husband's job and my stepmother's position. It was also expensive insurance if my husband was to lose his job. Since my house tour, I have learned another family experienced the same non-inspections which led to this homeowner breaking his back. Another family who signed a contract with a local builder, that builder in turn used another contractor's license, which he was known to do, and now they are almost out of their entire life savings and do not have a house to live in. I demanded you, the Board of Supervisors, dismiss building official David Bean, but you ignored me. His actions or lack thereof have harmed the citizens of Warren County, and they continue. I am sure he has participated or knows too much dirt for you to dismiss him. You have allowed the county administrator to run amok, ignoring or even promoting non-permitted work of Sager Drive and fraud at social services, and then this EDA boondoggle. I email you, I never get an acknowledgement or a response. You've ignored the proof of criminal actions within the county administration, such as perjury and Class 3 misdemeanors, and you will not take action. The level of incompetence and total disregard of the citizenry is outrageous. I know you have heard of Respondent Superior. Let the master answer. Tonight, you need to answer the citizens. I, Christy Atwood, a citizen who dared to be vocal and stand up for my family, demand that each member of the Board of Supervisors, Tony Carter and abstention, Linda Glavis, Dan Murray, Tom Sayre, and Archie Fox, resign from your position of supervisor. Doug Stanley, you resign as your position of county administrator, and Dan Whitten, your resignation as county attorney. You have disgraced the community. We have no trust in any of you, and it is shameful. The damage done will take decades to repair, if even that. And if y'all need to see that email, I have a copy.
Is there anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, no one else has signed up.
All right, next is report of board members. Mr. Sayre?
You want me to go first?
Yes.
Give me just a second. Today's a good day for those who seek the truth. That's all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Mr. Fox?
Mr. Chairman, the scandal at the EDA is enormous, and it's going to take a long time for the investigations, lawsuits, and criminal prosecutions to finish to know the full magnitude of the wrongdoing done. They will get to the bottom of it, but waiting for those outcomes should not deter us from taking steps now to prevent anything like this from ever happening again in Warren County. We must start rebuilding the trust that has been lost. The healing process must start now. With that in mind, I'll offer suggestions to be considered by this board to provide effective oversight of the departments, boards, and commissions that make up the Warren County's government. The EDA board recently voted to request the county to serve as a fiscal agent for the EDA. This requires that all financial transactions be handled by the county and its treasurer to provide additional layers of oversight to prevent this from happening in the future. It's a necessary start, a good first step, but we need to go further. First, every board and commission in the Warren County government should be required to have the county serve as fiscal agent for their financial transactions. Our boards and commissions are run by volunteers with the assistance of professional staff. And by and large, they do an excellent job with limited resources, but we must recognize that the focus of our boards and commissions should be on their mandate, not on the day-to-day vigilance necessary for physical responsibility. Second, the county procedures and safeguards currently used by the treasurer and finance department must be reviewed again to ensure that the most up-to-date accounting and audit procedures are both in place and being followed. Third, the Board of Supervisors, in consultation with the county boards and commissions, need to spell out what deliberations should be kept behind closed doors and what should be made public. Honest government requires transparency, and that can't happen if everything is confidential and not available for scrutiny. There are sound reasons for some closed doors deliberations, but they should be the exception and not the rule. And finally, getting qualified and motivated citizens to serve on county boards and commissions has been a real struggle. One of the only silver linings of the EDA scandal is that a lot of citizens are now volunteering to serve on this board. We've got a lot of boards and commissions that need good people serving on them. Vacancies are listed in the county's website. Sign up and get involved. Stay informed and speak out. We need your voices. Allowing plenty of time for citizens to make presentations to the board, encouraging activism and volunteerism, and making deliberations as transparent and open to scrutiny as possible are positive ways we can work to restore faith in our county government while also being effective watchdogs. Citizen input and transparency are things we must strive for. It's the only way we can get and keep good government. Combined with listening better and taking citizens' concerns seriously, we can have the government we want. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fox. Ms. Gladys.
I was elected by the people in South River District. I'm in my third term. I know Ms. Sowers, Ms. Atwood has asked for my resignation. I'm here because the majority of the people in South River District elected me to this position, and I can't let them down. My background is in administrative law. I think a lot of facts have to come out before the press tries everything, and I'm here to serve the people that elected me. Thank you.
Thank you. Carter's not back yet, okay. I attended the Inland Port report and meeting. Attended a prayer service I'll start over. I attended the Inland Port report meeting. Then I attended Sunday evening a prayer service for the community to be made whole again. It was a very nice service run by prayer teams, about an hour and 15 minutes, time well spent. I was also asked to sit in on Giles B. Cook 53, American Legion post from Front Royal, to sit in on their nomination of officers. And I attended the ribbon cutting at a Blue Ridge hospice. No one else showed but myself, and I helped cut the ribbon. I also was elected by the people in North River. I now have people working behind me, behind my back actually, acting like friends, but are trying to subvert me and knock me down and find somebody else to come in as an independent. If that happens, so be it. The will of the people will rule. Intimidation, falsehoods, misguided statements are tearing this community apart. It's almost like this community is part and parcel to Jimmy Jones and drank the Kool-Aid. We have to let settle what has happened. The town is a separate entity. The county is a separate entity. The EDA is a state-appointed separate entity. Nobody seems to understand that, but it is. And I ask everyone for patience. Nothing would make me happier than see somebody in handcuffs going in the RSW jail. And I think a lot of other people would like to see that, but I think we want blood. We have to let this work. If anybody here belonged to the VFW, it took over 3 years for their arson and embezzlement case to come to volition. There's only one person that knows how long it's going to take for this to come to volition. And that's the Lord, because none of us can guess at it. I ask for patience. I ask for understanding, and I ask for prayers on it. And please don't feed in to the empty rhetoric and slanderous comments that some people are making. Thank you. Mr. Stanley.
Mr. Chairman, before I give my report, I do want to offer my apologies to the community, this board, and staff for the excerpt of 2014 email chain that was released last week. The email included what was intended to be a funny reference to a movie line, but included some very insensitive, vulgar language. I went entirely too far with what I intended to be a joke. I reached out to the person who I was referring to in my comments and offered my sincerest apologies. As far as my report, Development Review Committee met on March 27, 2019. Committee discussed projects in the county, including the Christian College Chapel, which is, they've had a pre-construction meeting to get started on that. The existing lots for home construction on Catlett Mountain Road, and the proposed Crooked Run West development, which was mentioned in the public comment period this evening, which the Planning Commission held a public hearing on April the 10th. Committee also discussed projects in town, including a potential daycare on South Commerce, an ice vendor, automated ice vendor business to be located on South Royal, interior alterations to A.S. Rhodes Elementary School, and a possible Sheetz gas station on Shenandoah Avenue near the old Shenandoah Motel. A couple other items, convenience site enforcement. As the board knows, the county requires the display of either a county vehicle decal, a town decal, or a county waste decal in order to take trash to the transfer station or one of the county's 5 convenience sites. I want to give thanks to our men in brown uniforms, the Warren County Sheriff's Office, for helping us to check decals at the Linden and Cooley sites over the last month. They were able to write, I think, a total of about 18 summonses and issue probably about a dozen warnings to our citizens. So help us. Thank you for helping us to enforce that. Tourism Committee, the Joint Tourism Committee met on April 10 and discussed the wayfinding signage program. They discussed the schedule for design and implementation, best practices for wayfinding and possible tourism destinations for the signs. They received an update on the planning for the upcoming Wine and Craft Festival and received an update on the new building at the Backroom Brewery. Mr. Chairman, I'm sure you've been by there, but I've heard the building looks great.
It looks fabulous.
Committee will meet again on June the 12th, and that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. County Attorney, Mr. Whitten, please.
Can I ask a quick question?
Go ahead.
You had mentioned the chapel. Did you know when they were planning on starting construction?
I don't, but typically when you get into pre-construction, they should be starting to work on the foundation here shortly. So I'm sure they'll be doing some type of groundbreaking here in the next month, I would think.
Thank you.
Mr. Whitten.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I would like to welcome our new Assistant County Attorney, Caitlin Jordan. She started last Monday, and our office will be taking over the representation of the Department of Social Services. So she will be handling the representation of the department. She worked for a family law firm in Manassas, and she already lives in the community in Linden, so we welcome her to the office, and I think she'll do really good work for us. But I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Whitten? If not, let's move right along to approval of minutes.